MTG Scoundrels, it's in the cardboard. Ladies and gentlemen, scoundrels of all ages, welcome back to another episode of Modern Weekly. Today on the docket, we have Frogtide versus Eldrazi Tron, the more classic colorless version here. Looks like both players looking to see what they got and if they're keeping. And Frogtide here deciding to go to 6. Playing a Flooded Strand and passing. There's an Eldrazi Temple. And passing as well. Cracking on the end step. Finding an Undercity Sewers more than likely. There it is. Surveilling. Putting it in the bin. Untapping and drawing. Running out a Psychic Frog. Part of the namesake of Frogtide. The other, of course, being Murktide Regent. And there's a Chalice on 1. Passing the turn. Chalice on 1, somewhat helpful, but really Chalice on 2 is where you want to be in this matchup. Psychic Frog getting in. Discarding a Spell Pierce. To get in for 2, we'll draw a card here off the Psychic Frog. Playing the land side of Sink into Stupor here. And passing. There is 2 parts of Tron into a Thought-Knot Seer. That'll get counterspelled. Passing the turn. Fatal Push being discarded to the Frog. Frog rumbling in for 3. This is what you want as the Frogtide player. Mana up, threat on the battlefield. There's another Thought-Knot Seer. This one will get Archmage's Charmed, countering it. Spell Snare getting discarded to the Psychic Frog. Rumbling in for 4. Drawing a card. Passing the turn. Another Tron piece, not the one you want. There's the One Ring. Looks like that's going to resolve. Activation. In response, Orcish Bowmasters. Probably pinging the Frog here. Yep, pinging the Frog. Tapping 2 for a Murktide Regent. Exiling a bunch of spells for the delve cost, putting 5 counters on it. Still a lot of answers left. Or there is 2 open mana for the Frogtide player. So it can answer at least one of them. Going to 10 off the 1 ring there at the beginning of the upkeep. Looks like playing an Uggin's Lab, imprinting a Devourer Destiny. Starting with a copy of the One Ring. There is a world where maybe should have activated the One Ring in response anyway, but we'll see what happens. There's a Kozilek's command. Looks like X will equal 2 here. Going for the graveyard and exiling the Psychic Frog. Hard pass from the Frogtide player. Tough decision here. You're staring down lethal on the opposite side of the board. Passing. Attacking with the team. Casting a K command for 2. That'll get hit with a Force of Negation. Last card in hand is a K command. Exiling the Orcish Bowmasters. Making 2 spawns here. One of them's going to get in front of the Orc army. Score coming to 19-2 after the Murktide Regent gets in. Now the question is, what was the card drawn? You're staring down lethal on the other side of the board. You have to get rid of that Murktide Regent in some form or another. Or you just lose. Well, putting the Devourer back to hand. Counting the mana, realizing still having 7. Exiling the Murktide Regent. Passing the turn. A 6/6, a pretty solid blocker here. So now the tables have turned a little bit. Most of the Frogtide threats are gone. Tapping 3. Casting a Toxic Deluge. Paying 6 life. So that dealt with the board. Now it's a matter of who top decks better. Well, sometimes you want to save it, but there is a Devourer of Destiny. And passing the turn. Oh, what a top deck. There's a Psychic Frog. There's enough stuff in the bin to give that flying. Land for turn. Mana to deal with any answers. Passing. Discarding a Preordain, exiling 3 cards from the graveyard, attacking in, and that'll be it. Game 1 going to Frogtide. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. Going into Game 2 here. Wouldn't be surprised if sideboarded in we see some Break the Ices and Harbinger of the Tides for the Frogtide player. Or Harbinger of the Seas, excuse me. Ways to deal with Tron. Taking out some of the 1-drops. Fatal Push not as good here. Spell Snare also not as good here. Not a lot of stuff coming in for the Eldrazi Tron player, probably. If they are, in fact, on the Karn package, probably just maybe a couple of different big threats to come in and call it good. Maybe an extra copy of All Is Dust. Or if there's an extra Dismember in the board. Now, if you're looking for either of these deck lists, definitely check the description below. Not only is there timestamps for the individual games, but the Moxfield deck list links are listed there as well. And if you're interested in picking up some high-quality tokens, check out our friends over at Arcane Artistry. They make beautiful food, treasure, and clue tokens, and have some others down the pike. Specifically, I believe Orc armies are definitely on their way. So check those out and pick up some tokens if you would like. Of course, both players here staples of the local scene. Dan here is top 8 in RCQ or 2, as has Jason. Dan here on Frogtide. Occasionally seen playing Merfolk as well. Also seen Dan play some Ruby Storm. And Jason generally on some form of food combo or Eldrazi list. Both players looking at 7s. We'll see if they keep them. And it looks like we're starting out with the Cavernous Souls, naming Eldrazi, and passing the turn. Taking 2 off a Watery Grave here. And Preordain. Scrying 2. Looks like keeping them both top, passing the turn. There's a power plant. Passing. Undercity Sewers, surveilling. Putting a land into the bin, passing the turn. End step, cracking the expedition map. Finding an Urza's Tower here. There's an Urza's Mine. Tron coming down next turn. Passing. The problem with some of these ramp builds is you don't really get all of the counter magic out of the way on these first turns of the game, which really make Frogtide have to struggle. You really have to make them have the answers. And if they're just able to sit back with the answers, that's where you end up losing. Finding a swamp here. Off the polluted delta. Playing a Harbinger of the Seas. All non-basic lands are now islands. The end step, casting a Dismember. Taking 4. Untapping, drawing. Playing the Tron piece. Passing. 1 turn later than you would want it. And also having, 8 mana. Nothing to do with it. It's not a spot you want to be. There's a Break the Ice. Going after the Cavernous Souls here. Playing a Flooded Strand and passing. End step. Kozilek's Command for 5. Would imagine this gets countered here. Taking 1, getting an island off the Flooded Strand. Yep, there's the counterspell. It's looking to clear the graveyard out, it looks like. There is a Chalice on 2. That will get forced here. No follow-up play after that, though. And there goes all that mana. There's Harbinger of the Seas. Plays an island, passes. Another island. There's a Mind Stone. There's a colorless source. Passing the turn. Attacking for 2. Another island, passing. Attacking him for 2 again. And there's a Psychic Frog. Another island for turn. Still nothing doing. Looks like a lot of colorless pips in hand there. Attacking in for 3, it looks like. That'll bring us to 16-9. Chalice the Void for 2. There's an Orcish Bowmasters. Bringing us to 16-8. Discarding 3 cards to the Psychic Frog. Attacking him with the team. And that'll do it. Game, set, match. Both games going Frogtide. Couldn't find the second colorless after the Harbinger came down, or another Dismember. And that will do it. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. And we will see you all next week.